The latest in the series and the first Formula 1 game back under EA's wing, F1 2021 has shown to be a step up to its predecessor, even if it is similar in the gameplay department. If you're a newcomer to the series, however, this game thankfully holds your hand with the inclusion of casual mode introduced in last year's game. So whether you're playing on a controller, a keyboard, or even a dance mat somehow, you'll have an easier time keeping your car on the track. After some time with the game and a dash of new confidence, the transition from casual to standard mode should be easy enough, but we've still written down a bunch of tips to help you get there. Once those stabilizers called casual mode has been taken off, the assists on display can be quite daunting. Ignore anyone who states that you're not a quote-unquote real gamer if you leave anything switched on, but you're not exactly going to learn anything by losing control of the car before the first corner. Let's break these down to help you understand what they do to the car and which one should be enabled or disabled. Steering and braking assist. These two options forcibly take control over the steering and the braking inputs, obviously, leaving the throttle as the only input available for the player to control. Basically, turn these off so you have full control of your car. Anti-lock brakes. F1 cars are regularly shown to lock up their wheels when going into a corner, and this setting prevents that from happening. As a beginner, keep this on for now and then disable it later on down the line. Once disabled, you'll find out that slamming the brake pedal will not do you any good. Traction control. Keep this setting high. This prevents wheel spin from happening, causing your car to lose control and wreck your race. Eventually you can turn it down to medium once you want a bit of a challenge, and eventually to off if you're using a wheel. Dynamic racing line. This setting puts a graphical racing line down on the track for you to follow. Keep this setting to corners only and make note of where the braking and turn-in points are located. After becoming comfortable with the track layout, turn this assist off entirely. Gearbox. This one depends on your setup. If you're using a wheel with flappy paddles, keep this to manual, but leave it to automatic for anything else. Pit assist and pit release assist. Keep these on unless you really want a true experience. ERS and DRS assists. For the latter, it's easy enough to press a button at a specific point during the race with an audible beep and graphic coming up on the screen to remind you, so keep the DRS assist off. For the former, however, you'll want to keep this setting on for a few reasons. One, as you go around the track, it can get pretty confusing to know exactly where to maximize battery usage and when to save it for a different mini-sector. 2, pressing another button on constantly throughout every lap can make you feel overloaded. 3, you'll be quicker just leaving it on. Enabling the setting leaves you without the attention of an extra button throughout the race and leads to quicker lap times as it efficiently uses the battery throughout a lap. When it comes to multiplayer races, however, it's probably a good idea to disable the setting so you can maximize its usage for overtaking. Though don't forget to practice with the assist off in single player before you do jump into a multiplayer lobby, as you may end up at the back of the pack when you're trying to get used to it. I forget to adjust this setting almost every time on the grid. Before you start a race, you're given the option to change your race strategy and also your setup, provided the park firme setting is disabled. One setting that is available within every mode of the game is the fuel adjustment. This is located directly underneath the tyre strategy on the first screen, and it can be very easy to miss. The game generally adds on a few extra laps of fuel to the car, however this can waste lap time as it adds extra weight, causing slower speed throughout the track. The only way to rid of the added weight is by setting the engine to rich, but this can cause extra wear on the engine if you're in the My Team mode. Make sure to adjust your fuel accordingly and add a tiny bit extra on just in case. The game will tell you if it's beginning to be underfilled with a warning, so don't worry if you think you won't make it. Speaking of fuel, however, within the My Team mode, you're given 3 programs to take on within practice sessions, compared to 7 in the predecessor. These tasks reward the player with resource points that could be spent towards car development. 2 of the tasks within the 2020 release contain tyre and fuel management programs, whereas the latest sees 7 programs reduced down to 3, being race strategy, qualifying pace, and tyre management. Concerning tyre preservation, the ideal approach is to take corners with a smooth input on the wheel and pedals, especially on the exits. The throttle should be slowly applied when exiting a corner, as this prevents wheel spin affecting the rear tyres. Keep on the racing line to avoid any loose marbles, and keep off the curbs to avoid vibrations going into the wheels. As for fuel preservation, the ideal way to handle this is by setting the engine to lean, but what if you're unable to access this due to a fault in My Team or need to be in a higher mode to defend? The solutions are through short shifting, lift, and coast. Short shifting reduces the amount of fuel used compared to maxing out the rev limiter at a higher RPM, and the latter involves lifting off the throttle before the brake point, with the car not using any fuel in that coasting period. This one is less of a tip, but it's hilarious to execute and can be seen as a cheaty way of gaining an advantage. The regular way of entering a pit is to lower your speed down to the maximum speed limit and drive through with the pit limiter on. If your entry is too fast, you can end up with a penalty or even disqualification from the race, depending on how quickly you're going. However, with the pit assist on, as we said you should have, all the preparation to reach that speed limit is completely redundant. Take Canada, for example. Go down the final straight with the throttle planted firmly into the floor as the car goes from 100 to 0 faster than a gear change, and the best thing is, you don't get penalised at all. Now obviously this can be seen as bad practice, but come on, look at it. It's really funny. This tip seems quite obvious, but the mode should not be discounted at all. Time trial pretty much does as it says. It lets you drive on a track in the perfect conditions without any tyre wear, fuel weight or damage, and also uses a rival system so you go against a driver faster than yourself, which pushes you to find the best lines within a track. Not only this, but you're able to use your rival's setup for your car, meaning any advantage they might have had will be nullified. Comparing your lap times to the ghost car ahead will always be beneficial. Pay attention to how they approach corners, whether they're braking later or earlier, and when they get on the power when exiting a corner. Using this information can help you get through each sector and lead to faster lap times. Like they say, practice makes perfect. The series has been suffering from understeer for the past few titles, meaning the car's handling doesn't turn into corners enough, leading to the car drifting out wider than intended. Solving this issue is either through increasing your steering angle, which can be uncomfortable and terrible for muscle memory, or by increasing steering saturation. This setting is located in Controls, select your input controller, Edit, and then Calibration. Increasing the steering saturation increases the sensitivity on the wheel. So for an example, a wheel turned in at 5 degrees could be interpreted by the game as 10 degrees. Obviously, it's not as extreme as that, but you get the idea. This can help turn the car much more comfortably, as it doesn't require you to fully lock it if going through a medium corner. Introduced in 2017, the series' AI difficulty setting changed from a range between easy and legend to a number slider between 1 and 110%, with 2021's version including the old name value within the simulation settings. When it does come down to learning racecraft, it's best to find the perfect value and then increase it as your confidence climbs. The best way to find this perfect value is by trial and error through the Grand Prix mode. Set the race to 3 laps, set a difficulty value to start out with, and compare how the AI feels around the track. If you're totally eclipsing them and easily overtaking, increase the difficulty. But if the AI are overtaking easily and leaving you in the dust, decrease the difficulty value. Take the different teams into account too, as it is quite unrealistic for a Haas to be on the podium. Shots fired, I know, but where's the lie? It may take a few attempts to perfect, but it's all about finding a comfortable spot that you can practice overtaking, racecraft, and car management at a challenging pace. Experiment, learn, and overcome. You've got this. And those are just a few tips we've got for you in F1 2021. Have you picked up the game? Are you enjoying it? And do you have any tips of your own you'd like to share with the community? Let me know in the comment section below. If you want to see more videos like this for games in the future, then please do subscribe to the Traxion channel. And if you want to keep in the loop for all the upcoming F1 2021 content we've got coming your way, then also ring the bell for notifications. Send us some lap times over on Twitter at TraxionGG. Tell us how well you're doing on F1 2021 and if these tips have helped you. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your week. Keep it pinned, and I'll see you next time.